Mehul is reading a books in his house when he receives a call. He learns that a man has suddenly died in Street 04. As soon as Mehul ends the call, he gets another call. This time, he finds out that many thieves are trying to rob a bank in New Market. Mehul gets ready immediately and takes his gun with him. Where do you think Mehul will go first, to the first location or the second location? Tell me your answer in the comments. In Street 04, a murder has already happened and Mehul cannot bring the man back to life. However, in New Market, the robbery is still ongoing and Mehul can prevent it. Mehul quickly drives to New Market. Comment and let me know if Mehul made the right decision. When Mehul reaches there, he sees 3 banks. However, Mehul is unsure which bank is being robbed. Can you tell which bank is being robbed? Tell me your answer in the comments. Let's see the answer. All 3 banks look normal from the outside, but look closely at the second bank. There are not 1 but 4 security guards standing outside. The first and third banks have only 1 security guard each. This makes Mehul realize something is wrong inside the second bank. There are never 4 security guards stationed outside a bank. It's possible the thieves are keeping watch, while the ones inside rob the bank. Mehul calls the city police first. He informs them over the phone to surround this bank in New Market quietly. After a while, 5 to 6 police officers arrive and hide in the buildings surrounding the bank. They take aim with their special sniper guns. Mehul hides his gun inside his jacket and takes some documents to go inside the second bank. But the security guards stop Mehul and tell him that all the employees are having lunch right now, so he can't go inside. Mehul understands that they are lying. Can you tell how Mehul understood they were lying? Look carefully at the clock outside the bank. It's showing 4 p.m. There can't be a lunch break at 4 p.m.
Actually, I am from the bank's headquarters and I need to discuss something important with the manager. I don't have time, so I need to go inside.
But the security guards don't let Mehul in. Mehul raises his hand to signal his officers, and the police officer hiding in the building in front knocks out the security guards with a shot from his special sniper gun without making a noise. Then, the police quickly replace the guards with themselves. Mehul goes inside the bank. Inside, 4 people are robbing bank and putting cash inside bags. Seeing Mehul, they get scared and start firing at him. Mehul intentionally leads them to the window where the building opposite to bank is fully visible. On right moment, the police officer in the building shoots all 4 robbers with his special gun, knocking them out. All the police officers goes inside the bank.
Now, you guys handle this case. I need to go solve another case.
Mehul immediately reaches Street 04, from where he had received news of a man's death. But Mehul was not sure which house would have the dead body. Upon reaching Street 04, Mehul notices that lights are off in 3 houses. Can you tell which house the dead body might be in? Tell me your answer in the comments. Let's see the answer. While people are coming and going from all 3 houses, pay attention. People from the first house are also bringing vegetables and food items. In the third house, some people are carrying flowers and ice cream. But this is not the case with the second house, meaning the dead body is in the second house. Mehul enters the second house and finds a man's dead body. When Mehul questions the people nearby, one man tells him that his name is John and he came home very drunk last night. In the morning, when John didn't open the door for a long time, we became suspicious. When we looked inside, we saw that John was dead.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. This case seems serious.
Mehul immediately sends dead body to Dr. Sanjana's lab and also arrives there himself. The door of the lab was locked with a logical password. First digital map, second paper map, third logical map, fourth Tamrapatra map. Can you tell which one is the odd one out? Tell me your answer in the comments. Let's see the answer. Except for the digital map, the rest can be used without the internet. But the digital map cannot be used without the internet. Mehul presses a number button and enters the lab. Inside the lab, Dr. Sanjana was doing her research.
Dr. Sanjana, prepare the post-mortem report of this dead body quickly so that I can find out the truth.
Dr. Sanjana immediately stops her work and starts the checkup of John's dead body. Mehul sits on the sofa there and starts playing the detective IQ game.
This is the best game to enhance detective skills like mine. You should start playing too.
Dr. Sanjana tells Mehul that John's death was due to poisoning in the alcohol. It must have been mixed with poison, and this alcohol is not ordinary, it's special alcohol from Dubai. And only one licensed shop in the city sells it.
This means whoever poisoned John must be a very wealthy person. That's why he went to a shop having such expensive alcohol.
Mehul immediately reaches that shop in his car.
I'm Detective Mehul, and I want to check last night's CCTV footage.
Mehul checks the CCTV footages of that wine shop. And he sees John was sitting with another man, both drinking alcohol. The other man was wearing an ID card around his neck. But he was very clever and had covered his ID card with a cover so that no one could see his name and identity.
This murderer turned out to be very clever, but every criminal leaves some clue, and this one also made a mistake.
Can you tell which clue the murderer left behind that Mehul could catch? Tell me your answer in the comments. Let's see the answer. Pay attention to the identity card around the murderer's neck. He covered the card, but it has VR Group written on the belt of the card.
This man works for the VR Group.
Mehul immediately reaches the VR Group in his car. VR Group was a very big jewelers company. As soon as he arrives, Mehul starts questioning everyone. Finally, Mehul narrows down to 3 people: Niraj, Raghav, and Krishna.
I was working in the office late night and didn't go home.
I was on leave yesterday and went for a trip. Look at this ticket.
I left the office at 8 o'clock as usual and went straight home. You can ask my wife if you want.
But Mehul understands which one of the 3 had murdered John. Can you tell which of the 3 poisoned John's alcohol? Tell me your answer in the comments. Review the CCTV footage again. There's a tattoo on one person's hand, and the same tattoo was on Niraj's hand too. Niraj was the one who drank expensive alcohol with John last night at the shop. Mehul catches Niraj. Upon interrogation, Niraj confesses,
John had stolen $4 million worth of gold from another jeweler's company, and I was his partner. But later, John was only giving me $1 million, so I planned to kill him to get all the money.
Mehul hands Niraj over to the police. Case solved. Detective Mehul rocks. At 4 o'clock in the morning, Mehul was sleeping peacefully when he received a call informing him that there was a fire inside a lab and a scientist was trapped inside. Mehul immediately rushed to the lab in his car. The lab building was located on the 3rd floor, and there was a fierce fire raging inside. Upon reaching the building, Mehul approached the security guard station below.
Sir, I was the one who called you. I am the security guard of this building.
Uncle, how did the fire start? What were you doing at that time?
Sir, someone drugged me with water, so I fell asleep.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. It means someone deliberately set the fire. Uncle, who is inside the lab at the moment?
Sir, at the moment, only scientist Bennett is working inside the lab, but he hasn't come out yet. His life is in danger. That's why I called you.
Mehul immediately reached the 3rd floor of the building, but he couldn't enter the lab because the flames were too intense. Mehul heard Scientist Bennett's cries for help.
Save me, save me.
From inside the lab.
Scientist Bennett, where are you? I have come to rescue you.
Then, he heard Scientist Bennett's cries for help from inside the lab.
Save me, save me.
I have to find a way to enter the lab somehow. Scientist Bennett's life is in danger.
Mehul saw 3 possible paths to enter the lab. Can you tell me which one Mehul can take? Think carefully. Pay attention. The flames completely blocked the first door, so Mehul couldn't go through either from below or from above. The second path is also blocked by intense flames covering the entire door. However, if you carefully observe the 3rd door, you'll notice that the flames are only on the upper side, leaving a significant gap underneath. Mehul had a skating board beside him. He lays down on the skating board and slides under the 3rd door, entering the lab. Inside the lab, there was a severe fire.
There's a terrible fire in here. If I go inside, my life might be in danger, but I have to somehow rescue the scientist.
After Mehul's attempt to enter the lab, suddenly there is an explosion inside. As the fire reached the chemicals, Mehul quickly maneuvers his skating board and retreats outside the lab. Inside, there are several explosions one after another. Soon after, the fire brigade team arrives and extinguishes the fire after some time.
I wonder what happened to Scientist Bennett.
Mehul immediately enters the lab but finds it completely engulfed in flames, and Scientist Bennett's body is charred. Mehul thoroughly checks Scientist Bennett's dead body but finds no evidence.
Scientist Bennett burned to death before my eyes. I won't spare the murderer.
After some time, the building manager arrives.
Manager, tell me the truth. Who killed Scientist Bennett?
Sir, I have no idea. Only a few people knew that Scientist Bennett worked inside the lab early in the morning.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. It means the killer knew that Scientist Bennett would be working inside the lab at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Mehul checks the CCTV footage of the lab. Since the camera was burnt after the fire, no footage from after the fire is available. However, Mehul finds CCTV footage from the previous day and discovers a clue. Can you tell me what clue Mehul found by observing both CCTV footages? Think carefully. By observing both CCTV footages, Mehul notices that there was an anti-fire cylinder placed on the wall inside the lab until last night, but it is missing in the footage from 4 a.m.
This means the murderer intentionally removed the cylinder so that Scientist Bennett couldn't control the fire in any way. But why didn't Dr. Bennett try to escape after the fire broke out?
To find the answer to his question, Mehul searches inside the lab. After thorough investigation, Mehul realizes why Scientist Bennett didn't escape after the fire broke out. Can you observe everything carefully and tell me why Scientist Bennett didn't try to escape from the lab after the fire broke out? Think carefully. Pay attention, there is an iron chain and a lock under the table.
This means the murderer must have locked Scientist Bennett's hand, so he couldn't run out of the lab, and when his body burned completely, the iron chain automatically detached from his body.
Mehul takes Scientist Bennett's dead body outside the building and tells the security guard and the manager there.
No one will go inside the building until the investigation is complete, and you all will stay here.
After that, Mehul reaches Sanjana's lab with Scientist Bennett's dead body. It was 6 o'clock in the morning. The door was locked with a logical password for security. Tell me which of these 4 buttons is the odd one out. Think carefully. Leaving aside the car, the remaining 3 buttons are blue in color, but the car is white in color. Mehul presses the 4th button, and the lab door opens. Mehul enter in a lab. After that, Mehul leaves a voice message for Dr. Sanjana and leaves from there. Mehul immediately returns to the same building where the lab was on fire. Mehul first interrogates the manager there.
Manager, tell me the truth. Did Scientist Bennett have a fight with someone?
Sir, Scientist Bennett was a very good person. He never had a fight with anyone. But for the past 4 or 5 days, a friend of his often came to meet him.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. I need a photo of that man.
The manager shows him the photo from his laptop.
Well done, manager. Now I will find out who this man is.
Mehul immediately sends that photo to Sonia. After some time, Sonia calls Mehul and tells him that the man's name is Mr. Knight. He is a businessman from another city, and he also has a factory where medicines are made. Everyone calls Mr. Knight by name.
It seems I have to go to another city to interrogate Mr. Knight.
Mehul immediately sets off for the city in his car. There were 3 routes from Mehul's city to Mr. Knight's city. The first route starts from the main highway, but this route is quite long. The second route starts from the side of the lake, and this is the shortest route, but there are many crocodiles in the lake, and they are often sitting on the road. The third route goes through the jungle, but at this time, there are many dacoits in the jungle. Can you tell me which route Mehul can take among these 3? Think about it. As for Mehul, he won't go through the jungle route because there are dacoits there, and at this time, he has to go for another case, so why take a risk? The first route is also good, but the second route is a shortcut, and Mehul is wearing a sweater, meaning it's cold outside, and in such cold weather, crocodiles won't come out of the lake in the morning because the water of the lake remains warm in the morning, so all the crocodiles will be inside the water, and the road will be completely clear. Mehul takes the shortcut route next to the lake and reaches the other city. As soon as Mehul arrives in the other city, he first goes to Mr. Knight's factory. Mehul parks his car outside the factory and changes his clothes so that he cannot be recognized. Mehul enters the factory wearing different clothes, but there were 2 security guards outside the factory. They stop him.
I am Mr. Knight's man. Mr. Knight has sent me.
As soon as the security guard hears Mr. Knight's name, he lets Mehul enter the factory. After seeing the scene inside the factory, Mehul is amazed.
Interesting, very interesting. It means Mr. Knight makes duplicate medicines and sells them.
Mehul calmly comes out of the factory and calls Mr. Knight.
Mr. Knight, I need duplicate medicines worth 5 crores. I am standing outside your factory.
10 minutes later, Mr. Knight comes out of the factory, and Mehul catches him and calls the police. The police raid the factory.
Mr. Knight, tell me the truth. Why did you go to meet Scientist Bennett?
Mr. Knight reveals that Scientist Bennett had a very good formula that could be used to produce duplicate medicines at a very low cost, and the price of those medicines in the market was in millions. However, Scientist Bennett did not share that formula with him, so he set the lab on fire.
Mr. Knight, in your pursuit of earning more money, you murdered Scientist Bennett. Now you'll sit in jail and keep making duplicate medicines.
Case solved. Detective Mehul rocks.